a buzz, a conflict that's fascinating. And actually, the further you step away, the red light mixes with green and makes yellow, a vibrant yellow. More yellow than yellow paint because it's mixing on its way to you. It's mixing in your experience. Good food is the same way. It's mixing in your mouth. A chef does not finish a perfect meal, put it in a blender, and hit frappe. He wants you to have the experience of mixing textures and different flavors in your mouth. So color theory is very interesting to me. I find it curious that white light can be made from three primary colors of red, green, and blue, together mixing into white light. And here we have the example of red and green mixing together to make yellow in the sunflower example. So drawing the eye, very quickly, this is a trick that we use at Pixar or most animated films. How do we draw the viewer's eye to where we want to see? Most of you might have stories to tell, and I encourage anyone who has the slightest interest to please do so. Tell those stories. I think we'll have someone here later that will share some YouTube videos that they've been promoting on the internet. What an awesome tool the internet is to spread your ideas. But I would just beg of you to do your best to also make them well-produced, meaning lighting is very important in helping make them look professional. And quite often, a very simple mistake is just harsh shadows across the face. A nice, good, balanced lighting will really help us be drawn our eyes to the viewer's eyes. It's actually the same thing I tell my daughters, or my oldest daughter, who's 14, when she talks about ever someday wanting to go on a date. We're always told women should wear outfits that make sure that men are always looking at their eyes. And I think that's good advice. So drawing the eye, as an animator, we steal from all the great artists. And I use steal in a playful way, of course, but we borrow ideas from the greats. Here you have our eye very much drawn to Rembrandt's eye, but the rest of the poster seems to fade into less detail. So the highest contrast and detail is around his eye. Here are some other paintings, even abstract ones. They seem to go towards the eye. Usually so the highest area of contrast where white meets black is in the eye, and it's even in our very faces. Babies can recognize this very early. But here, in a poster from The Incredibles, all Disney movies know this trick. Our eyes drawn to the character's eyes. And even emphasized in one of my favorite movies by the use of a mask. Brave has the same kind of tricks. Notice how her hair and the detail gets more blurred into the background. There are no harsh shadows on her face, because those would actually draw our attention. Our eye is drawn to her eyes. And the eyes just keep getting bigger. So there is a unity of life, and I'm going to try to finish up a lot of this with what I do at work. Digital animation is not about digital animation. It's related to so many other things in life. You know, my inspiration comes from nature. There's a unity and harmony in nature, and all the different similar, there's different shapes, but yet it's all one. Even in math and science, I was fascinated recently, only 20 years ago, 25 years ago, with the advent of computers. Here's an infinitely complex graph made with the contrast of opposites, where 0 meets 1. There's a crazy boundary created in this shape called a Mandelbrot, and it's a very simple formula that computers they've known the formula for hundreds of years, but only with the invention of computers can they calculate repetition as long as the power's on. And so you can zoom in on the boundary to an infinite degree and even find little more similarities of these shapes. The closer you zoom in, the more complex it gets. So this is what happens, I believe, when contrasts come together. This is the The diversity in unity, or the unity in diversity, it's very much part of my love of the Catholic faith. I think there is no more diversity and unity that I've ever known to exist in the world than even what we just witnessed today with Pope Francis. Seeing all the cultures from around the world, so many different countries, and yet we're all one, excited about our faith. I don't think that excitement exists cheering the United Nations or any one movie. I don't think there's anything that can bring us together so closely. So computers are great. They do crazy, cool things like this. With the amount of technology, can simulate a lot of organic-looking things. Lighting has become very realistic. Almost anything is possible now. It looks like real organic materials mixing away. So computers are now at a threshold. Anything can be made to look realistic. And what is realistic? Well, it looks like it's part of nature a little bit. It's just copying nature. You've heard of the golden mean, a proportion in seashells that's even in human beings. It's in all the great works of art we're surrounded by. And in all art around the world, there is a unity and similarity, regardless of culture, that I find a lot of the same principles in all of these works of art that are unique to all artists. Even this image, here's from Inuit Eskimos in Canada, and here is cartoons from Charles Schulz. The use of black, gray, and white in balance, to me, has a lot of the same principles as this and this. So even in architecture or the contrast you see in great art, if you want something to be blue, put some red there. Even here, the white and green are emphasized by the warm color of the vase. Costume design is the same kind of contrast and same kind of rules, and even the monsters we create at work. So, lastly, of all these things, I was inspired by J.R. Tolkien's inspiration of the Trinity. I'm a big fan of his. But he talks about out of the darkness of his life, I put before you the great thing to love on earth, the Blessed Sacrament. There you will find romance, glory, honor, fidelity, and the true way of all your loves upon earth, which every man and woman's heart desires. And lastly, the importance of silence. Silence in screenwriting is the most powerful tool. The best thing you can do is to take out a line of dialogue and replace it with silence. I'm going to skip all these things, but I will finish with Elijah when he was looking to hear the Lord, went out to the valley, didn't find him in the earthquake or a fire, or not the rushing wind, but he found the Lord's voice in the silence, in a still, small voice. Mother Teresa says, God is the friend of silence. See how nature, trees, flowers, grass grows in silence. See how the stars, the moon, the sun, how they move in silence. We need silence to be able to touch souls. So I urge you to make very good use of technical things, digital media, the iPhone, but that use will be magnified 100-fold if you learn the importance of silence, the inspiration through prayer, to help hear the direction that you want to find, and not to just search aimlessly, but to find that direction to also help magnify the Lord through others. Thank you.